here with the NYC Young Producers, and we're talking about unity to the Kwanzaa Film Festival. What did unity mean to you?
Okay, so I'm going to start. To me, unity is not just about forming a community. It's being able to take action and use that unity in order to bring people together. Unity can be through action, it can also be through words, but it is also a way for you to be able to influence someone in order to bring together a community. Specifically, in our celebration today, which is the Kwanzaa Film Festival, unity and film are closely tied together. And I say this because as someone who is an audience and as someone who loves movies, someone who likes being entertained, I don't just see movies as a way for me to escape from reality. I see it as a way to educate myself, whether it be romance, comedy, or even horror. I think Kwanzaa doesn't have to be mentioned, it doesn't have to be associated with it, but its values, its principles can be applied to that movie, and we as an audience can not only be entertained, but we can also be identified with it.
I like that answer. I would like to bounce off of that, and I want to say that unity isn't just about being with a group of people, because you can be with a group of people and not like any of them. I think unity is about like the emotional connection, and going beyond like just being with a group of people.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like unity is like not necessarily you agree with everybody, you're like best friends with everybody, but even if you don't have the same beliefs, even if you don't have the same race, gender, any of that, you still cooperate and like work together. And I feel like that's a very important value that people should stick to.
I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, especially here in America, in our current climate, people have different beliefs. We have different parties, especially in terms of politics right now. But unity is a way for us to be able to respect each other and share our values, especially in the context of unity and film and Kwanzaa. And I think if we are able to discuss this and we're able to appreciate and acknowledge that these three things can be unified together, we too learn as individuals.
So would you say that unification is sacrifice?
I would say that unification is sacrifice in terms of being able to acknowledge and understand others, because people are not willing to hear the other side. I mean, we witness it in movies, and especially the upcoming election, that people are not able to hear the other side because they have strong values. But I think unification doesn't have to be about associating yourself with someone or having the same beliefs. It's about being able to listen to someone's voice and be able to acknowledge that. That to me is unity.
I agree with that. I don't think necessarily unity would be sacrifice. I think it would be compromise instead, because there's a certain point where a side would sacrifice so much to the point where it's not unit anymore. So I think compromise is what would describe unity.
So, what do you think about the Kwanzaa Film Festival?
Ooh, well, you want to start? Well, the Kwanzaa Film Festival for me, I didn't really know anything about Kwanzaa, and this is the first time I've heard about the Kwanzaa Film Festival. But as someone who has participated in a program that helps organize this festival and this podcast especially, I was able to educate and grow myself in terms of knowledge of culture, but also understanding that even though the Kwanzaa Film Festival originates from the African American community, I too, as someone who is Asian and not really that knowledgeable about the Black community, too can celebrate it through my culture. And that it doesn't have to be a celebration about a specific community, but it can be a celebration about everybody and their experiences, especially of films in general. So yeah, that to me is Kwanzaa Film Festival.
That was great, Enzo. What I love about the Kwanzaa Film Festival is it gives a chance to young people who want to get into acting, want to get into directing, and it gives them a platform so they can show their creativity and end up making it into like big industries. Because from what I hear in the film industry, a lot of people, it's really hard to even join. So this community is great.
I agree with Enzo. I also didn't know anything about Kwanzaa, even though I am African. So like being able to participate with the Kwanzaa Film Festival, I got to learn a lot more about it as a whole, and I got to learn more about my community, and I see how they're trying to bring people together. So I think it is something that does educate the Black community, not even, because he said he didn't know anything about it, but he was educated and learned more through it. So it educates like a whole variety of people and a diversity of people. So I think it's a very like educating and
it's unfortunate how much I relate to the both of you. Yeah, before I joined this program, I also had nothing to do with Kwanzaa. I had no type of family that celebrated it. My personal family didn't celebrate it, and nobody really spoke about it either. It would just pass by on the calendar, and everybody, oh, it's Kwanzaa today, but it would be nothing more than that. But I feel like this festival really, it gives people the opportunity to learn about something that they have no entitlement towards, right? Simply just because, Kwanzaa is something that can be relatable to anyone regardless of your ethnicity or race or whatever culture you share, because the principles will always remain the same, which is the most important part about Kwanzaa in my opinion. Now anybody can celebrate it, and that just because you don't have the same heritage, even though me as a Black woman, I am Black, but like I said, my family also still does not celebrate it. Those principles that are celebrated in the holiday still apply to me regardless. So I feel like it's really important to, show or perpetuate this type of diversity towards minorities specifically, because it teaches us a sense of morality that other people, assume based on stereotypes that we don't have.
Yeah, I think it does teach a lot, because people see Black people as like violent, like they can't unify themselves, like they see us as ghetto. So I think like us being able to come in a space together and talk and like learn more about ourselves, it says like a whole lot. And like that shows a lot that people really don't know what the Black community is about, but like they can find out if they do like come and see the Kwanzaa Film Festival, and like they see how we really do get along and like we do come together as a community.
I totally relate to you because I'm Asian, and in the Asian community, although we don't experience similar hardships as the Black community, it's kind of similar because the Asian community is notoriously fetishized by the white community, specifically white men, towards Asian women. And even though Kwanzaa doesn't necessarily show the most majority Asian, I feel like if we were able to acknowledge it as a celebration of cultures and different communities, we are able to see ourselves through that celebration of Kwanzaa and the Black community. And I feel like that really is a special part of what makes Kwanzaa Film Festival special, is that it's not just about films. It's not just about watching movies. It's also about being to educate ourselves and being to look at it from a perspective of where, what can I learn from this? What is the significance of this? Why should we as a community look at this more than a celebration, but rather as a unification of these principles that doesn't have to only be in film, but can be applied to our daily lives too?
I think the Kwanzaa Film Festival is a well-intentioned, I feel like it is a well-intentioned, spirit-based, well-loved and nurtured project. I feel as though you can see that it has a lot of heart to it. It has a standard that it tries to hold itself to. I feel as though Kwanzaa in and of itself is often mixed up as a religion rather than a set of values. And I feel like highlighting it in the media of film shows that it is a sorry. It is a value system rather than a religion in and of itself. Because the movies can be religion based, it can have Christianity, it can have Buddhism, but the thing that unites all of them, whether they are religion based, whether they are culture based, whether they are music videos, they're just an expression of the self, is that underlying sense of morals and values that come within Kwanzaa. I also feel like it's a good way to celebrate Kwanzaa because not everybody has a family that celebrates Kwanzaa. Like, in my family, it's mainly my aunt and my aunt's side of the family that celebrates it, and every once in a while we'll jump in. But some people don't have an aunt that celebrates Kwanzaa. Some people don't have a family member that celebrates it. And they heard about Kwanzaa, they don't know anything about Kwanzaa, but they want to join in on Kwanzaa festivities. I feel like watching a film is an easier bridge to get to celebrating Kwanzaa as a whole, because movies provide a digestible way for somebody to internalize the information and spread it out to the world, if you know what I'm saying. I'm sorry if it's all over the place. But yeah, I just feel like the festival is something that can bridge a lot of gaps, that can be a way to touch hearts that are not just people who are super Black identified or Black in general. It's a way to get a lot of people in and a lot of people wanting to celebrate Kwanzaa and take these principles, take these morals, and use them in their everyday life.
I also agree about the culture itself to us Black people and other races. You know, we both are together as one. And what films do you see this summer that has unity?
That's a good question.
I seen the Black Candle. It was a really great documentary movie thing, and it taught me a lot about my culture. After I watched the film, it felt like I was like missing out on all the things I should have been doing, like all the principles I should have been following, and I feel like it's a real eye opener for Black culture and stuff like that. I think it's a really good movie and you should watch it.
Yeah, I really did because it did teach me a lot about Kwanzaa as a whole. And I did like get to see like not a lot of people do have the understanding of Kwanzaa or even know about Kwanzaa. So like it taught me even stuff about the principles I didn't know about, and the principles is also something I think I should follow going on, because like self-determination is like you believing in yourself and you see what you can do. Like a lot of people have doubts and stuff, so if they have principles and stuff they could follow, I think that's a very like influential thing, and like it motivates them to keep going. So yeah.
This may come as a surprise, but one of the movies I recently watched this summer and I can associate with Kwanzaa is a horror movie called A Quiet Place. It's not associated with Kwanzaa, it doesn't mention Kwanzaa, and even though it's a horror movie, it carries the principles of Kwanzaa, specifically unity or unification. It is basically a movie that goes around body language and that kind of communication. And I think it's the family, the main characters in the movie, being able to just do language or sign language because their daughter happens to be deaf and you have to be quiet. I think acknowledging those difficulties and the family being able to acknowledge that child shows a sense of unification, which kind of represents Kwanzaa in general.
I like that. I would like to add on to that. I haven't seen the newest Quiet Place Day 1, but I have seen A Quiet Place 1 and 2, and it's a film without many words, and I feel like even though it doesn't have much speech in it, it has a lot of emotion. It has that fear, and it uses a lot of like symbolism and lighting, and it reminds me of a film that we watched over the summer called The River, with these women who were like dancing, and it's important in film to not only listen to what someone's saying, but to visualize what they're showing with colors and movements and all of that. So in that film, they used a lot of like harsh like stops, a lot of like darker colors like blues and grays to what I assumed was a symbolism of like sadness, and it also reminds me of like the movie La La Land. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but in the progression of the movie, the main character, she goes from wearing brighter colors to like darker, warmer colors, because it shows a progression from like happiness to like slowly descending.
To be honest, as somebody that did watch all 3 movies of The Quiet Place, I feel like A Quiet Place Day 1 would be a prime example of unification, mostly because, and this is a really good technique that the director used, but he acquired both a black female, a white male, and a cat, which was very morbid, theoretically, because I mean, why would you add a cat as like an aspect or main character of the movie? Because the cat was the main character, to be honest. And in spite of the chaos that was going around them in a post-apocalyptic movie, they still made it to where each and every one of them made it to the end together as a whole. And at first, the main character, she pushed the other guy away. She was the owner of the cat. She was released from a psychiatric ward, and with the cat she would travel around alone, but this guy, he would not stop leaving her alone. She would just continue to move away from him constantly throughout the movie, wanting him to just, be by himself and not have anyone in her presence. But over time, she kind of grew on to him. She did. And with that unification, even though that both of those main characters, including the cat, aren't, black, female, or male, it really goes to show that in reality, it goes deeper than just your skin color or ethnicity as a whole. At the end of the day, people survive regardless of race, literally. People go through so many things that are not naturally entailed to ethnicity, and I feel like society kind of makes it seem like ethnicity is like the main source or focal point of tragedy, which it is not. Because when it really goes down to shit, I mean, who is going to save you? Probably somebody that can be Asian, probably somebody that is Indian, somebody of any ethnicity. So it doesn't really matter as much as people make it up to be.
What moment in pop culture and media shows unity?
I would say the Black Lives History movement. People from different cultures and race came together like to support the Black Lives Matter movement, because it's not just one community that's going through it, because like though we do live in the same world and though we are different races and whatnot, I don't think it really matters, because like at the end of the day, like we have to get along, because we have to like live in some type of way possible. So if we're just fighting all the time and like misunderstandings all the time, it doesn't really help anybody. So I feel like the Black Lives Movement did show that a lot of different race are able to come together and compromise and like push forward with something that they believe is true. And yeah, so
this is a really odd choice, but there was a time in the Netherlands where women were basically tired of their work being diminished and treated as if the work that they do has no value in the home. So all the women of the country, of course, generalization speaking, but all of them unified together and decided that they were going to either leave the country or just not do any work for 24 hours to set a point to the men in the country that their work is valued. And within that time, offices were a wreck because they took the kids to school. Toy stores ran out of toys because they were trying to buy things to keep them distracted. Ready-made food was not available for a long time after the 24 hours because they didn't know how to cook. They didn't know how to care for these children. And I think that was a moment of unity because they all saw a problem and they all saw a solution to the problem by just proving a point. They didn't leave forever because they still loved their family, they loved their children, but they left because they felt some sort of injustice and they just wanted to do anything to prove that they are valued. And so to this day, of course, there's still always going to be some sort of misogynist. There's always going to be someone that doesn't value their work. But if you look into statistics, they are the division of labor is much more equal now. Women are getting paid more now for the work when they do get employed. And it just showed that even if it sounds crazy, because if you read that on paper, it's like, no one's going to do that. But if you come together, you can make anything happen. And that is just a moment of unity that sticks out to me in a way that I never, before this moment, would have thought was possible. Because everyone leaving a country, you know what I mean? It sounds like a lot, but it worked, and I love that for them.
Okay.